everybody. Welcome to our Programa webinar today, Master Your Client Workflow. I'm Vanessa, one of our customer success team based here in the UK. So thank you for joining us. We always love to connect with our users and our design community, and we appreciate you taking the time. So today's webinar is actually going to form part of a larger series of webinars we'll be hosting. So this is going to be part of what we're calling our training, Programa Training Academy. So if you've got any suggestions or topics or ideas that you'd like us to address within these series of webinars, we'd love to hear from you. So you can connect with us via our live chat support, which is in platform in the bottom left, the Talk to Us button. So specifically today, though, we're going to be focusing on the client collaboration workflow within Programa. So we're going to be diving into how to set up your client dashboard, how to share all your different project files to the dashboard, how to invite your clients and set individual viewing permissions for all of those files, and then also just covering off some tips and tricks around visibility and control with the dashboard as well. So before I dive in, just a little bit of housekeeping. We are going to try and keep this as interactive as possible. So my presentation will roughly be about 30 minutes, but we're going to have a live Q&A session at the end. So we're going to keep hopefully about the same amount of time. So if you do have questions that arise as I'm presenting, please pop them through as they come up in the live chat function within the webinar. So pop them in there, and my team member is going to come onto the stage after I finish presenting, and we'll go through all those questions live. So I'm going to dive in. I'll share my screen and we can get going. So just to touch on firstly, before we head into Programa, in terms of our support that we provide, we have our live chat. So even post-webinar, if you want to connect with us, if you want to share any feedback, suggestions, comments, you can do that through our live chat support. So it's located in the bottom left of your platform, the Talk to Us button. So come through and chat with us. Okay. So we're in our main project dashboard here. We're going to jump into our project. So this cog icon is your project settings. And within the project settings, you've got your client dashboard tab. So this is where your initial configuration and setup of the dashboard is going to happen. So the first thing that you want to do is upload a cover image. So this cover image is essentially the banner image that sits at top of the dashboard. So this is the first thing that your client is going to see. So in terms of what type of image you might want to upload, it's obviously at your discretion. That could be some nice look and feel imagery, a project image, a render. You do have recommended file sizes as well as the maximum file size that you can upload. Now, if you need help in terms of resizing your image for this banner image, within our Help Center, we do have Canva templates. So anywhere in Programa where you need to upload an image, we've created Canva templates that can help you resize those images. So you'll get to here, the client dashboard image, and you can click on it, create or resize your image, and then you can upload it into Programa. So I'm going to upload my dashboard image. We do have some cropping and repositioning functionality that you can use. So you can kind of position your image exactly as you need. Now, the next thing that you want to do is set your default schedule view. So within the client dashboard, when a client opens up a live schedule, there's two viewing options, card view or list view. Card view is definitely preferred because it is the large image-based cards. So usually that tends to be the most recommended default view. Shared files. So this is optional at this point. You might want to come in at different stages throughout your project and upload any shared files. So this would be any other external project files that you've created that you want to sit on the dashboard. So all different file types can be uploaded, including video. And as mentioned, you can come in at any point and upload these. So that could be something like your terms and conditions, It might be client questionnaire, fee proposals. So just depending on what application you've created those in, you can share those to the dashboard. So now that we've set up our dashboard, we're going to head into our main project file list. So just a bit of an overview of the file structure within this main file list here. So you've got your file name. So this is what you create. It's customizable. Then you've got your type of file. Now shared with and status, this has got to do with the client collaboration and sharing. So shared with is referring to any client that you've actually shared this file to the client dashboard. So you can hover over and you can see the number of clients that you've shared this file to the dashboard and the client's email address. Status here. So this is actually referring to the other live sharing option, which is the publish to web option. So that gives you the ability to just create a generic live URL link. And this live URL link essentially is a public link. So hence the public. So if this is displayed, it means that you have toggled on that publish to web toggle, and potentially you've copied and pasted this in the body of an email and sent it to, internal or external stakeholders such as your contractors or trades. The other option you have to view your clients is up here. So this just gives you the ability to search and filter by client email address. So if you've got lots of clients, you can search by email address. It also just gives you a quick shortcut to resend their client dashboard invitation, copy their client dashboard link, and you could potentially paste that to them in the body of an email, or you could also copy that link into your own browser if you wish to preview what your client can view within that dashboard. And then you can also remove their access and visibility entirely here as well. So now we're going to go through sharing your actual files. And the first files that we're going to share are your visual content. So we're going to jump into a pinboard firstly. Now, your pinboards within Programa are your online presentations. So once you've brought your images into a pinboard, you have two options in terms of viewing. This is what we call the details view. And as you can see below my images, if I've decided to add notes and a product URL link to an image, they can actually be displayed on the presentation or the pinboard itself. If you prefer just to keep it purely image-based, you can choose the presentation option, and that will hide the links and the product URL. So when it comes time to share these, you hit the share link up the top here. So the option that you want to choose is the publish to client dashboard. So you toggle this on. Now with the pinboards, you have the option to actually upload your desired thumbnail image that you want displayed on the client dashboard. So you do have a bit of design discretion here with this image. So when you're ready, you would add your client or client's email address. Now, just a little tip for you. When you generate and publish your first file to the dashboard, that's essentially generating your dashboard. So you've done the configuration, but until you actually publish your first file, that's when the client dashboard is generated. So a hot tip is that you can actually add your own email address. So you'd add yourself, because this is a way of you setting your own permissions as per you're about to set your clients, and you can copy your link to your own browser to view prior to actually adding your client. So whether you're adding yourself to preview or your client, you would add the email address and hit add. So as soon as you hit add, this is actually going to trigger an email notification to that client that you've added a file to the dashboard, and they'll have the link essentially to click and open up that dashboard. Now, in terms of viewing access with the pinboards, you can see this toggle here for show links. So if you have added URL links to your images in the dashboard, if you want client to view those, you would toggle this on. If you've added those for purely internal purposes or references, you would keep that toggle turned on. So I can now copy this dashboard link and I can paste that in my browser, and we can view the dashboard. So at this stage, we've set up our dashboard with our banner image. Your logo will automatically pull through because you would have uploaded that in your organization settings within Programa. And as you can see, we've got one file here, which is our pinboard. So if I'm a client and I now click through to this live pinboard, I can view all of those images and I can click on the images. I can view the notes and the relevant URL link associated. They also themselves can switch viewing mode if they prefer. So that's pinboards. The file type that we're going to share now is a Canva file. So Programa have actually got a really handy tool. If you use Canva to generate any project files, whether that's your mood boards, fee proposals, client questionnaires, contracts, you can actually embed those live into your file list here in your project through our Canva integration. So if we click on this plus button down the bottom here, you would select Canva sharing. Now, all you need to do is copy the link from Canva. So you would head into your Canva account, select the relevant presentation, hit the share link, and it's this live embed link because essentially it's a one-way live sync from Canva to Programa. So it's this smart embed link. So I'll copy that. And just so you know, in our help center, we do have step-by-step instructions in terms of how to follow this and do this. So you paste in your link and then you would title that presentation and hit add. So you get the notification that it was successfully created. You can then view this live presentation. And when you're ready to share to the client dashboard, you would follow the same behavior. So you'd click on the share link at the top, toggle on that you're ready to publish to the client dashboard, select or enter your client email address and hit add. And again, when this add button is selected, the email notification is sent. And if I head back into my main file list here, you will see that sitting in my main file list here. Now, if I want to share a schedule, let's jump into a schedule. And there's a few things that we might go through first in terms of just little things to be aware of in terms of visibility. So assuming that you've added all of your products into a schedule at this stage, you've got your product statuses. So this is a default list of product statuses. Now, there's two that I want to mention today. That's our hidden status and our client review status. So the hidden status, the logic behind that is that there potentially may be products or product lines that you don't want to share with client. So if you apply the hidden status, it means that when you share the client, whether that's live sharing or the PDF export, those product lines won't be shared. Now, how you might use the hidden status, if you've got a custom product, like I've got here, a custom bed, potentially I only want to share one main product line. So I've got my total product cost within the details tray. I've got the images, all my product materials, and I've also outlined all of the different material components here in my custom specifications. So what I've done is I've applied the hidden status because for me internally in my schedule, I want to apply the cost component of each of these materials, and I want to add my supplier because potentially I need to pull these across into a purchase order. But all client is going to see is this one product line. So that's the hidden status. Also, just to note, if you have added cost components, then these costs will be hidden from your total budget up the top here. So the second status is our client review status. Now, this is the status that's connected to our online product approvals through the dashboard. So these can be applied individually per product line, but you can also update statuses in bulk across your schedule. So if I select this checkbox on the side here, I can select this whole section and this black action button will appear and I can bulk update all of my products to client review. Now, before we share to the dashboard, just to touch on pricing and your financials. At a product line level, you have the ability to add your RRP cost, which is your retail cost, your trade cost. It will automatically calculate for you your trade percentage. Now, up here, you'll see we've got the markup toggle. I've got this turned on. This is something that manually needs to be turned on across your schedules. So best practice is that you would turn that on across all of your schedules at the start of your project and keep it turned on. It then gives you this markup field. You have the ability to specify a percentage markup, and how that's calculated is the 5% is added to your total trade costs. So that then works out your total client price. So this is the cost that you're charging client, and this is what client is going to see. So automatically, if you've got the markup toggle turned on, client is never going to see trade or markup. They're purely going to see the cost to them, as well as the retail cost, if you've included that, and the client's savings percentage that they're receiving. So if we hit the share button up the top, again, we toggle on the publish to dashboard toggle, and we can enter our client's email address. Now, there's a few more individual viewing permissions that you can set with the schedule. So as you'll see here, by default, all of these toggles are turned off. So these are, I guess, high-level viewing permissions. So supplier, brand. A tip, if you have turned off either the supplier or brand, it's assuming that you don't want to share supplier information. So the product URL for that product will not be visible in the live schedule. Pricing, product details, and approvals. So if you do want this client to be able to do approvals, this toggle needs to be turned on. So then we can copy the dashboard link and we can view that in our dashboard. Whoopsie. Copy the dashboard link and open our dashboard. So as you can see now, we've got the schedule sitting in its own section and our pinboard that we shared previously, as well as our Canva presentation. So each of these files sit in their own unique section. So it's a really clean image-based layout within the dashboard. And if we click into the live schedule, your client has these tabs up the top. So this is the default card view that we set in our configuration. Up the top here, this is how client can switch themselves between viewing mode. So if they prefer more of a grid view, then they can switch, or they can keep it in the card view. Now, all of these images can be clicked on and click through, and at any point they can click to see the product details that you've entered into Programa for that product. So all the images can be clicked on in larger format. You've got your important notes, product notes, custom specifications, and any product attachments. Now, the client approvals sit in this approval and feedback tab. So if I click in here, these are all of the products. And again, they can view them in either format that we set to that client review status. Best practice, client could approve all. They might go through and individually reject the products that they don't want, and then they could select approval for the rest, or they could one by one go through to do their approvals. So when they click approve, they have the option to enter an optional comment. The shape of this share, and they would go through and make those approvals. Now, the benefit of these online approvals through Programa is that they're all streamlining through into the platform for you. So you're not having to worry about trailing through emails or WhatsApp messages. It's all coming through into your schedule for you. So if I hit refresh, within your schedule, you've got the approvals tab at the top here. This orange light is your notification that new approvals have fallen through. So when you click in, you've got two tabs, outstanding and history. Any that are still waiting for approval will be sitting here as outstanding, and then you can see rejected, approved, the comments, the date and timestamp. Now, you simply need to note that you've seen that approval and you mark it as complete, which then moves those into this ongoing history tab. So this is an ongoing activity stream of all of the approvals across your schedule. Now, what happens is these product statuses automatically update for you. So approved, rejected. Now, best practice if a product is rejected is instead of having to permanently delete a product and remove, I guess, all tracking and history of that product, Programa has archive functionality. So instead, you can archive that product, which essentially removes it from view, removes it from your total financials. But if you ever need to view any of those archived products, up the top in your menu bar, you can always toggle on to show archived items. Anything that you've archived across your schedule will fall back in grey in the order that you archived it. And let's say client changed their mind and you needed to unarchive something, you can simply unarchive and you could update your product status potentially back to client review if you're going to send to approvals again. And then you'd come up to your menu and toggle off your archives. Now, the other way to share your schedule, because there are two live viewing methods in Programa, is the publish to web toggle. So if you just want to create a generic live link to the schedule, you can toggle this on, copy it to your clipboard, and paste it in the body of an email. You do, again, have the options of setting those viewing permissions. So you can choose what you want that generic link to showcase. Other than the live share, just to highlight, you do have the option of exporting hard copy documentation. So you can export both to PDF and Excel. Now, the PDF export is good to highlight because it gives you the option of version control. If you're needing to snapshot your schedule at a point in time through the project, you can export to PDF and save to your files. You do have the option with the PDF export to turn off and on some different information toggles depending on what you want it to show. And you've also got the ability to create cover page notes. So this is a great way to keep track of your version control. Great. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at the finished schedule. So I'm going to copy my dashboard link. So the dashboard is a really elevated and image-based way to be sharing all of your project files to one central dashboard. You are in full control of what and when you share to this dashboard. Every different file type sits in its own section within the dashboard, so keeping it nice and clean. Your shared files sit in a list, so you have full control of adding those, deleting those, and keeping those up to date. The other file type that you can add to the dashboard is your invoices. So if you are utilizing the invoice tool within Programa, just to quickly demonstrate, if I head into our invoicing dashboard, and this is just another great way of obviously keeping all of your client project files together in the one place. You would click into the invoice and it follows the exact same behavior of clicking the share link at the top, toggling on the publish to dashboard toggle, and entering your client's email address to add that to the dashboard. So if I refresh my dashboard here, the invoices are always sitting in a section at the bottom here. Now, just a little tip and trick around visibility and control. If you have shared a file to the dashboard, and let's say you did some product approvals and clients rejected a whole host of products and you need to resource, you can turn off visibility without client being aware. So in your schedule, or any file type for that matter, you would click through And if I turn off this publish to dashboard toggle, this is essentially going to mean that visibility of this entire schedule is removed from the dashboard. So I turn it off, I head back to my dashboard and refresh, and it's disappeared. So no notification is sent. When you're ready, you can come back in and just toggle on visibility again for your client. So you are in control of turning it off and on without having to kind of make client aware of that or sending constant notifications. So that really brings us to the end of what we wanted to go through today in terms of client collaboration. I think just the key takeaways is that the client dashboard is a visual means of sharing all your project files to the one central place. Clients tend to feel quite special having their own project portal. You're in full control of those viewing permissions that you set per client. And hopefully we can now answer some of your questions. So if you've got any questions that you haven't added to the chat function, please pop those in, because we've got, roughly about 30 minutes now. So hopefully we can get to most of your questions. I'm going to invite my colleague Lexi to the stage and we can answer some of these questions. Hi, Lexi.
Hello. Great presentation.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I know I was just chatting with you, a couple of you in the chat box here. So we're going to go through some more Q&A based on the topics that Vanessa just discussed. So we saved a couple of questions that I thought were really great. I also want to acknowledge that we just got some really great feedback from a lot of our users in the chat. So 100% we save and collect all of the feedback that you guys share with us as in terms of what we prioritize on our roadmap. And I wanted to speak to, we got a lot of feedback on the schedules, which is something that our team is actively working on. We're kind of in the discovery phase right now of the schedules 3.0. So there will be lots of changes coming to that part of the platform and other aspects of the platform next year. So to start off, there was just a couple things that Vanessa, if you want to kind of go back over. Number one, Sarah was wondering, can you just give a bit of a rundown between the difference, what you would use a pin board for versus what you'd use a schedule for? Just in terms of, is it just a visual preference, or why would you essentially put products into a pin board if that's what kind of the schedules are for?
Perfect. Great question, actually. So the pinboard in Programa is one of our default tools. The benefit of a pinboard, I guess it's similar to the look and feel of a Pinterest board. And because we have an integration with Pinterest, if you do use Pinterest to source your imagery, with our integration, it's very easy to pull them through from Pinterest. And as you saw, it's a 4-column design. So you can really quickly and easily create quite minimalist, beautiful, like conceptual presentations. And because they are an online presentation, they're great for sharing to the client dashboard. However, in saying that, we find that a lot of studios we talk to, because of our live schedules, are very image-based with the large card display, it can omit the need to even create a pinboard. So you can use the live schedule as your presentation, because essentially it is a very similar look and feel. In terms of the Canva integration and why we, I guess, offer that, is we found that a lot of our users are starting to move towards Canva, whether that is for like visual elements, mood boards, presentations, or other client files like questionnaires, contracts, fee proposals. And we wanted to offer the integration to basically bring all of that into Programa so everything can be shared to that one central dashboard.
Yeah, 100%. I find too, when I'm talking to a lot of the designers, or kind of in my own personal experience as well, I use the pin board for that initial look and feel of the project, like a proper mood board and conceptualization. But then as I was moving through design development, um, I would use like a Canva or an Adobe presentation where I actually needed to add more text and layer images and maybe have elevations and finishes on there too.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I think to your point, it's really utilized as a visual tool on Programa. To lead into that, actually, we had another question on the pin boards,
Mhm.
just in regards to how to present it to your clients. So if you could open up a pin board, and just show the users how to share, like to get to this screen, essentially, if they were going to present the pin board in person.
Yeah. So I always say that the client dashboard is actually a great presentation tool as well, because
Mhm.
whether you're presenting face to face or whether you're presenting remotely online, this is always a nice initial screen to have up for client. And you've obviously got easy access to all of your project files to navigate throughout the presentation. So if you were going to use the dashboard for presentation purposes, you can obviously click directly through to the pin board from your dashboard. Now, this pin board, you're able to click on those images in larger format, and dependent on whether you've added notes or product URLs, you can obviously access and click on those as well. Um, the other option with the pin boards is that instead you would just create a publish to web link, which is the other live sharing option, where you can toggle on this publish to web, copy the direct URL link to the pin board, and you could paste this in the body of an email to client if you're just wanting to share that particular pin board prior to any other project files.
Amazing. Thank you. Nicola was wondering, as you're on this page, can you just show everybody how you could export the pictures out to a zip folder? Um,
Mm,
they're just wondering on how you could get these pictures into a Canva presentation if you
yeah.
wanted to.
So this is, I guess, the workflow within Programmer that, as Lexi mentioned, if you were using our pinboard tool for that initial look and feel kind of concept board, once you've brought all your images in, up the top here in your menu, you have the ability to download all of these images into a zip folder. So the benefit of that is with the click of a button, you've got all your images in folders. And the great thing is that if you've set up your pin board by sections, it will create a folder per section. So it makes it really easy to kind of navigate all those images, and then you can import the relevant images into Canva.
Yeah, 100%. Super easy. You can even just do a drag and drop right into Canva from that file,
Yeah.
quickly pull those together. Um, while we're on the topic of pinboards, seems to be a hot topic, can we just do a quick run through of how to get Pinterest pictures into the pinboards?
Yes, we can. So when you create a section within a pinboard, you have the option over here to import images from a few different sources. So one of those sources is Pinterest. So all you need to do is click add from Pinterest. So you would open up your Pinterest board. So whether you've created a board or whether you have, no, need to sign in, or whether you are just on a singular pin within Pinterest, you simply just copy the link. You copy your Pinterest board and you paste it in, and it'll scrape through your images and you can choose the selected images to pull through. Now, if you are, just a tip, creating boards within Programmer, we have a limitation with our integration of 50 images. So just something to be conscious about with your boards, that potentially set up boards per 50 images across your project so they can all be pulled through with the integration. And then you select your images and hit add. Now, it's just a simple drag and drop to move your images around. And as mentioned, there are resizing grids here. So as you can see, by default, all of these images have fallen in across one column width, but you do have the ability to create different formats. So this is across two column widths, and then I've brought in 4 additional images to create a different layout, essentially. Just because we're on pinboards, you do have some basic cropping functionality. So if you do need to crop and reposition your images, you can also do that quite easily.
Amazing. Thank you. I personally love the Pinterest integration. I'm a big Pinterest fan. Um, Kind of going back to how we actually share this with clients and what they see, can we show an example of, say, you had the pin board or a schedule turned on for a client to view? What happens when you turn that toggle off? What does the client see?
In the dashboard,
Yes, like what would they see if you turned it off? Which would essentially
so
nothing, but
yeah. So basically, it just removes that file completely from the dashboard. So, like I mentioned, there'll be no notification that's sent. It's just a discrete way of you controlling visibility post sharing the file initially. So, if I head back into this one that I had shared, if I toggle this client dashboard toggle, so let me just actually head up into my dashboard, and I'm just going to show you what it looks like. Firstly, with the pinboard sitting there. So my pinboard's sitting there, and if I toggle that off here and refresh the page, that pinboard just completely disappears.
perfect. Thank you. Yeah. So it's the same idea. If you are, say, you're working on a schedule and you get approvals on something, and then you're respecifying things, and you don't necessarily want the client to see that you are working on that file, you can just hit that toggle and turn it right off. And can we go back to the project's file page and just show everybody again the quick way to get to the client dashboard?
Yes. So this view clients button up here, it's just a quick way to access all of the clients that have, access to your dashboard. So if you've got a lot of stakeholders, a lot of clients, you can search and filter by email address. So within here, you can hit resend, and that will resend the invitation to the dashboard. So they'll have the link that they can click on to access. If you just want to copy the link itself and potentially send this to client in email or send it via WhatsApp message, you can just send them their link, but you can also delete their access entirely. So if I hit this button, any file that I had shared with Claire would be removed and her access would be removed completely, revoked completely. Just heading back into your main project settings, this is another area that you can view the same information in the client dashboard here. So you've got the list of clients, and again, you can copy link, resend invite, or remove the user.
Yep, 100%. So there's a couple different ways to do it. This user was just wondering the easiest way instead of going into the client dashboard settings. So I would say probably from the project files would be
Yes, if you want to do it,
my
yes,
opinion.
you
Um,
you'd have to go into the project file.
yeah,
Yes, if you were just removing their access for that particular file, you would delete their access within the
yeah,
file.
exactly. Um, but that is something to note as well, that it is on our roadmap as a team to have an easier access to that client dashboard for sure. So there isn't as many steps.
And I guess just to note on that too, Lex, with the main file list here, you do have a quick access. So you don't have to actually click into the file itself. You can just click the menu bar here with the share button to access that same share link, essentially.
Yep, 100%. Can we go back into the schedule tool
Mhm.
and just reiterate on the toggles that the client can see when you're sharing, just the difference between supplier and brand and what the URL link is associated to?
Yes. So with the viewing permissions that you can set per client,
Yeah. Sorry on that. Can you, your camera, can you just turn it off for a second? It's blocking the drop down.
Yes, can do.
Thank you.
Okay. So with your viewing permissions per client, I guess they're high level viewing permissions. So you can't pick and choose specific fields necessarily, but you can at a high level choose to show supplier, brand, pricing, and all product details and the approvals. So what I was saying previously is there's inbuilt logic that if you have either the supplier or brand toggle turned off, that the product URL in your live schedule is not going to be accessible. So there's not going to be the live link on the shared schedule, this one, for that, for products if you've turned the brand or supplier toggles off.
Correct.
And publish to web. So this toggle down here, it's just our secondary live viewing option. And this is probably more likely with how you're going to share to other stakeholders or your trades and contractors, because you can just copy the link direct to that particular schedule as opposed to inviting them to the whole dashboard.
And do the users need to reshare their schedules after making updates, or is it always live?
So it's always live. So that's the great thing about Programmer is that it's a live schedule. So you're never having to reshare. When they click into the schedule via the dashboard or the live link, it's always going to be up to date with whatever you have, done or edited in Programmer.
Amazing. Yes, everything on that client dashboard and the pin boards and schedules are all live access.
Mhm.
Amazing. Can you quickly go back to projects page
Mhm.
and just reiterate where they can find the Canva link and how to embed that
Yes.
into a project?
So down the bottom here, this is how you add files to your project. So if you click this button, it'll give you all of the options, schedules, pinboards, and the Canva sharing option. So Canva sharing is what you want to select, and it's immediately going to ask you to copy the link from Canva to paste in here. So when you're in Canva, you would open up your presentation, mood board, contract, whatever it might be. You hit the share link in Canva. Now, there's a live embed option. Because it's a live one-way sync directly from Canva to Programmer, you're going to click on this and click on this smart embed link. Once you have copied that, you paste that into Programmer and you title that presentation and hit add. Immediately, you'll see if it's been successful. And if I head back into my main file list, you can see that it's been added as a file within my project list here. So you don't have to share to the client dashboard immediately. You could very much just add those Canva files in. There might even be internal files that you're not sharing with client, but you've created in Canva that you want to share to add into your file list in Programmer.
Mhm. Perfect. Sorry, they're just
And I think that's something else with the pinboards as well is that you might just create a pinboard for internal purposes as opposed to ever having to share with clients. So as you can see here, I've got project references. So this is just a template that I've set up across all of my projects where I can house internally for myself any site photos, sketches, materials. And this is something that I would just use for myself.
Yeah, I love doing that too. Um, can you just speak to again the difference between publish to web and client dashboard? In the difference, somebody is asking. Sonia was wondering if those views of the schedules can be different. So they want, let me just reread that.
Mhm.
I think pricing showing for the client, but not for the contractors, essentially.
Correct. So that's exactly what you can do because they're two separate links and two separate views. If I click into my schedule, so I may have hidden pricing from client, but potentially I want to show pricing in this live link. So you can very much set individual permissions for the live link as well as individual permissions per client. So every client that you add can have their own viewing permissions in terms of the link that they get to view the dashboard.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Okay. A couple of people are wondering about how you could integrate floor plans or elevations. Do you want to just show them how you could add attachments to the schedules themselves, but also how you can add attachments to the dashboard?
Yes. So within the schedule itself, up in your three-dot menu, you have the ability to add what we call general attachments.
Sorry, I think we need to turn our cameras off. No one can see what we're doing on the right.
Realize that. I'm going to do that right now. So up in your three-dot menu here, you have the ability to add general attachments to the schedule itself. So best practice, this is where you would add your drawing set, elevations, because these will be on shared with the schedule, the live schedule itself. So just for sake, I'm going to upload a floor plan and I'll save that. So if I head back into my dashboard and refresh, how that appears in your live schedule is there'll actually be an attachments tab at the top here. So when client clicks on attachments, they can view any relevant attachments that you've added. So that's definitely best practice to attach to the schedule. However, you can also add your drawings elevations to the dashboard as a shared file. So instead, if you wanted to head into your initial project settings, into your client dashboard configuration, you can upload those as a shared file down the bottom here. So when viewing the dashboard, they will be sitting in the shared files section here. Any more questions, Lexi?
Yeah, we have lots. I think just on the note of the attachments, I think
Mm-hmm.
one of my favorite things is the QR code with
Mm-hmm.
the publish to web link is
Yes.
that your attachments can actually be opened from that QR code um, on that shared schedule that Vanessa showed you. So, say you had an elevation or a floor plan that associates to your material schedule or your plumbing schedule. When they scan the QR code, they can actually have all the specs and your plans in one spot, which is pretty epic.
Mm-hmm.
Eh,
If anybody has their phone handy, you're welcome to scan this QR code because you can view what it will look like on the mobile view because it is our live schedules are optimized for viewing on mobile, tablet, as well as desktop. And you can see the tabs at the top, including the attachments.
Yes. Amazing. David is wondering if this it's not an actual how do I say? They're wondering if you can mix the pin boards and the schedules and do it per room. Um, saying they kind of want to do a look and feel of the like, almost like a mood board for each room, but then also have products underneath. I think I don't know about you, Vanessa, but in my suggestion, I'd probably say to have pin boards per room, and then you could have a section of the mood board images with then products underneath.
Yes, correct. I would set
Would
up,
you agree?
yes, per room. Yes, agree.
For sure. And then you could share all of those to the client dashboard.
Hmm. I guess a question we do get asked quite frequently is if you can share files in bulk to the dashboard. So at this
Mhm.
stage, you have to individually share your files to the dashboard. Uh, as Lexi was mentioning, we're hoping next year to have quite a few updates and enhancements to the scheduling side and client collaboration side of the platform. So, bulk sharing to the dashboard is one of those on our roadmap.
Yes, we're super excited about that one. It seems like the users in this chat will be really excited about that. It's been a big feedback today, just because we know that there is lots of emails that are being sent out for sure. So having that one kind of universal link to the dashboard will be super handy.
Mhm.
Let me just have another quick read through the chat here to make sure I didn't miss anybody's questions.
Course.
Again, this
And
has
I guess
been
one,
great too.
oh, Lexi.
I was going to say it's been great to be chatting with everybody.
Yeah, we love obviously connecting with you all. And just to reiterate, if questions pop up post webinar, or you've got any feedback on topics or tools that you'd love for us to showcase, please connect with us via the live chat support. So within your platform, the talk to us button, we're always there, always available to chat with you and take any feature requests, suggestions. We've got a very dynamic roadmap that we love adding to.
Oh, yes. Sarah has a couple more questions here. She's asked, I've just added a drawing to a schedule and I don't see the attachments tab at the top, although the message that the schedule has been updated popped up. Hmm.
If you
I, Sarah, I wonder if potentially, so you can only see the attachments tab on the live link of the schedule. So you won't actually see an attachments tab on your end. So that potentially could be why. If you
yes,
just want to open that up again.
just ensure that you have added it to the schedule itself under attachments here. And yes, that attachment tab is only viewable in the live schedule, not
Yes.
the PDF export. Um,
Exactly. And what does the terms and conditions toggle mean?
good question. So in your studio settings, you have the option to, under your organization tab, add any generic terms and conditions, schedule terms and conditions. So down the bottom here, you've got this section. So if you do add your terms and conditions within here, in your schedule, you can then toggle on that when you share that schedule, automatically you want those terms and conditions to display. And they will be displayed both in the live share and the PDF export. So that needs to be toggled on. Now, just a tip or trick, if you have like quite lengthy T's and C's, like more like a full PDF document, then potentially it's best to actually add that as an attachment to the schedule itself or as a shared file to the dashboard in your dashboard setup as a shared file here.
Yep. Can you please, a couple, just because we've mentioned some changes that are coming to the platform, do you want to just open up the change log to show the users where they can actually follow along and see what is being updated? So our team updates this to, I'd say, weekly of the like little changes, big or small, that are being made on the platform. Mariana did just post this link in the chat as well.
Mhm.
If you want to pin that, because it's super helpful.
Yeah, it's always something to keep an eye on. So on our website under Learn, we have our change log. So you can see recently added, so our enhanced web clipper. So that's the new Smart Fill AI functionality. So very similar to our Add from URL tool, we now have that within the web clipper, and the product background remover. So within your schedule tool, once you've added your imagery, you can now, with the click of a button, remove background images or colors from an image to get you really clean, crisp product images.
Hmm. Actually, I saw a fun thing on the background remover the other day. If you background remove from the schedule and then add those products to your product library, then you can pull those pictures into a pin board with the background removed.
That's actually great.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if anyone's not aware, within the pinboard tool, one of the ways that you can import imagery into your pinboard is through the product library. So if you've saved, like Lexi said, images in a schedule and then save those products in your library, you can import those into a pinboard. I click on the section, import from product library, and this is where you could search by keyword search.
Mhm.
So I might say tile, and I can pull those images directly across from my product library. Oh,
Yeah, that was a fun thing I discovered the other day.
oh, and it's just loading. Here we go. And again, drag and drop.
Yeah, a couple of people were asking just about, how they're loving chatting in here and seeing other people's questions and wondering about a discussion forum. We don't have a specific one made at the moment. I know it's something marketing was discussing,
Mm.
but I mean, if you do have questions, you can always pop into Intercom on live chat too, and even say like, "Hey, these are things that I want to discuss in a webinar or in a forum, and maybe we can start collaborating those all together." We do keep all of your feedback, so it's not falling on deaf ears for sure. But love that idea. I think
Yeah,
it's great to kinda connect the community for sure.
because as mentioned, our roadmap is very dynamic and it is definitely what is used by our product team to
Mhm.
prioritize future tools and improvements and enhancements to the platform.
Yep, absolutely. I'm just gonna read. Yes, someone's asking about more webinars. We definitely are hosting probably more so because we're coming into the holiday season now. We'll be doing a more consistent webinar series come in the new year. Potentially, probably bi-weekly, depending on how many numbers we got. And so we're going to be doing either similar formats. We're probably going to be, they specifically asked on project management. So yes, we'll do one on project management. And then when our financial updates and invoicing updates all come, we'll do a full training session on that as well. And yes, this will be recorded and sent to you after the fact. It'll probably usually about 24 hours or 48 hours after this webinar.
But thank
You'll
you,
get
everyone. I think we've got about 2 minutes left. So if there are no more questions, very much value your time. And we hope this was really beneficial and insightful. And again, if anything pops up post webinar, please connect with us via the live chat support.
amazing.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.